Welcome to World News Program, coming to you live from Algiers on All 24 News. I'm your host Islam Sid, and the headlines. Martyrs and injured, including Syrian refugees, due to intense Zionist airstrikes on Lebanon. The toll surpasses 1,540. The injuries exceed 5,000 since October. Hezbollah announces targeting Zionist military sites and ammunition factories with over 80 rockets. "39 Palestinian martyrs in 4 new Zionist occupation massacres in Gaza within 24 hours. 21 of them, including children, killed in an airstrike on Hafsa school in Jabalia camp." Also in our news, Algeria asserts that attempts to discredit UNRWA aim to undermine a key aspect of the Palestinian cause, calling for stronger support for the agency, reaffirming its commitment to the Palestinian people. And the Algerian government reintroduces mandatory visas for foreign nationals holding Moroccan passports and holds Morocco responsible for deteriorating relations. The details are right after the break. Hello again and welcome back to the program. 20 people, including 19 Syrians, were killed and 9 others were injured in a Zionist airstrike targeting a residential complex in the Lebanese town of Yunin. According to a statement from the Lebanese Ministry of Health, the airstrike carried out on Wednesday night in the Baalbek Erbil province hit 3-story building housing Syrian family. Most of the victims were women and children. The Lebanese government reported that Zionist attacks since October have killed 1,540 people, injured over 5,400, displaced more than 77,000. The Disaster Risk Management Unit noted that Zionist occupation has carried out more than 7,000 airstrikes, 248 phosphorus attacks, and 133 shootings during this period. Occupation forces launched dozens of airstrikes on several towns in southern Lebanon on Thursday. According to the Lebanese news agency, the strikes targeted residential areas in Ansar and continued to hit various locations, including Sorbin, Kafra, Yatar, Dir Antar, as well as neighborhood in Sur and Shahur in southern region. Hezbollah announced that its fighters launched 80 rockets at the occupied city of Safad on Thursday. Earlier, it had struck the Northern Command headquarters at Dadu base and the Ahyud settlement with 50 rockets. Hezbollah stated that these attacks are in support of the resilient Palestinian people in Gaza and in defense of Lebanon and its civilians against Zionist aggression. Hezbollah broadcast footage showing the Islamic resistance targeting an airport, a military base, a factory, and several other sites belonging to Zionist forces in northern occupied Palestine. Hezbollah also released footage showing its operation targeting the Special Naval Missions Unit headquarters at the Athlete base in northern occupied Palestine using a swarm of attack drones. Lebanese Interior Minister Bassam Molawi announced that the number of displaced people due to ongoing Zionist bombings in southern regions has exceeded 70,000. In a press statement, Molawi confirmed that 70,100 people have fled from areas under attack and are currently sheltered in 533 evacuation centers. Syrian security sources reported that about 15,000 Syrians and over 6,000 Lebanese have crossed into Syria since the start of the Zionist aggression on southern Lebanon. Lebanese Interior Minister confirmed that the number of officially registered displaced Lebanese has exceeded 70,000. Meanwhile, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees noted that at least 87 Syrians have been killed in the recent escalation between Hezbollah and occupying Israel, excluding Thursday's airstrikes. Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati called on the Security Council to pressure the Zionist occupation for an immediate ceasefire on all fronts. In his address to the Security Council on Wednesday, Mikati accused Zionist entity of violating Lebanon's sovereignty and undermining efforts for de-escalation, warning that without Security Council intervention, the situation in the region could escalate further.
Lebanon today is victim of an enemy that is using electronic, cyber, sea and air attacks against us that could turn into a ground attack and set the stage for an all-out regional war. I hope to return to my country armed with your explicit stance calling for the cessation of this aggression out of respect for the sovereignty and safety of my country. What we are seeing today is an unprecedented escalation, resorting to new tools and methods, especially cyber and electronic tools, to harm our people. The aggressor is claiming that it is only targeting fighters and weapons, but I assure you that the hospitals of Lebanon are full of injured civilians, among them tens of women and children. We also affirm the need to end the Israeli aggression against Gaza immediately. The spillover of what is happening in Gaza is directly affecting the situation in Lebanon and the region. And what is happening will not stop at the borders of the region, but will include the entire Middle East if it is not addressed without further delay.
And that was the Lebanese caretaker's word during the UN Security Council. Now we move on to another matter. The Lebanese government denied on Thursday that the Prime Minister Najib Mikati signed a ceasefire agreement after meeting the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and mediator Amos Hochstein. A statement clarified that Mikati did not announce any such agreement following the joint call for a temporary ceasefire initiated by the U.S., France, and the EU. The Qatari Foreign Ministry denied the existence of any official mediation efforts involving Doha to achieve a ceasefire in Lebanon. Spokesperson Majid Ansari stated in a press conference that Qatar is working with regional partners to call for a ceasefire, deeming the situation in Lebanon unjustified and classifying it as a full-scale escalation of conflict. On another note, Majid Ansari denied any direct connection between the proposed 21-day ceasefire in Lebanon and the ceasefire proposal in Gaza.
I'm not aware of a direct link, but obviously both mediations are hugely overlapping when we are talking about the same parties for the most part that are taking place in that are taking part in this. But I'm not aware of any direct correlation right now with the time.
China called for the Zionist occupation to immediately cease its aggression against Gaza and violations of Lebanese sovereignty. During an emergency UN Security Council session, China's permanent representative Fu Kong called on occupying Israel to stop the war in Gaza and respect Lebanon's sovereignty, warning of the potential risks of new regional catastrophe. More international news stories, including the recent developments on the ground in Gaza, are coming up after the break. Occupation forces committed 4 new massacres in Gaza Strip, resulting in the deaths of 39 Palestinians and injuries of 86 others in the past 24 hours. The Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza announced that the death toll from the ongoing Zionist aggression has risen to 41,534, with 96,092 injuries since the Zionist aggression began on October 7th. At least 15 Palestinians were killed and others injured in a Zionist bombing targeting Hafsa school in the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza. Medical sources reported that the strike hit the school, which is sheltering displaced people in the Fallujah area, resulting in at least 15 martyrs and dozens of injuries, with initial figures likely to rise.
The occupation a short while ago committed a frightening massacre at the Liwa Center for the Displaced in the area of Al-Fallujah. The school contained thousands of those displaced. There are tens of martyrs who have been recovered from beneath the rubble of this place that has been destroyed. We also have martyrs who are still under the rubble. Our teams are coordinating with fire crews at this place. There are also martyrs whose remains have been torn apart.
6 Palestinians were killed on Thursday due to a Zionist airstrike targeting a house in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza. This strike hit a home in the eastern part of Gaza City, resulting in the recovery of the bodies of 6 victims, including children. Occupation forces withdrew from the city of Jenin and its refugee camp after an 18-hour military operation that resulted in the arrest of 6 Palestinians and extensive damage to the city's infrastructure. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society reported that its teams transferred 1 deceased and 4 injured people from the nearby town of Anza to the hospital following the withdrawal. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas urged the international community to stop arms supplies to occupying Israel and hold it accountable for its crimes against Palestinians. In his UN General Assembly speech, he emphasized the need to end the genocide being committed by the Zionist forces and called for global responsibility for the destruction of Gaza and the suffering of its people.
I come to you today while my people have been subjected for almost a year and still are to one of the most heinous crimes of the era, a comprehensive war crime and genocide carried out by Israel. As the aggressive war continues, dozens are still being killed every day, and many more of our afflicted people in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank and in Al-Quds are being wounded. Stop this crime. Stop it now. Stop killing children and women. Stop the war of extermination. Stop sending weapons to Israel.
Abbas urged the UN member states to implement the General Assembly's resolution regarding the International Court of Justice's advisory opinion, which calls for an end to the occupation of Palestinian territories within a maximum of 12 months.
أغتنم الفرصة اليوم لأشيد بالدول الأعضاء في الأمم المتحدة
I take this opportunity today to commend the member states of the United Nations, which voted by a majority of more than two-thirds in favor of the draft resolution submitted by the State of Palestine, supported by a large number of friendly and sisterly countries, to adopt the historic advisory opinion issued on 19/7/2024 by the International Court of Justice to end the illegal Israeli occupation of the State of Palestine within 12 months. For the first time, there is a fixed date. We demand the implementation of this item in particular, including the immediate cessation of annexation and settlement activities, the dismantling of existing settlements, the removal of settlers from the Palestinian territories. There are 60,000 settlers in our land. Why don't they stay in theirs?
المستوطنين من أراضي الفلسطينية في عندنا 600,000 مستوطن قاعدين عنا طيب ما يقعدوا في أرضهم.
Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf underscored the need to sustain UNRWA as the 9 Palestinian refugees' right to return is unacceptable. Speaking at an UNRWA support meeting in New York, Attaf expressed regret over repeated attempts to discredit the agency, stating that such efforts aim to undermine a core component of the Palestinian cause.
UNRWA's existential and life-saving role remains fundamentally linked to Resolution 194 of the UN General Assembly. Therefore, it should continue to exist as long as Palestinian refugees are denied their inalienable right to return to their homeland, in spite of all the adverse conditions it is confronted to, and in spite of all the vicious attacks it is subjected to.
Attaf emphasized that UNRWA deserves greater political and financial support from the international community. He reiterated Algeria's strong commitment to continue supporting the agency, which symbolizes the Palestinian cause and represents the rights of refugees in particular.
UNRWA deserves stronger political support and greater financial assistance from the international community. Algeria reaffirms its unwavering support to UNRWA and recalls the financial contribution of $15 million that it has allocated to this UN agency's budget last April. I would like to conclude by reaffirming Algeria's strong and sincere commitment to continue extending its support to UNRWA because of what it represents, for what it brings, and for all that it symbolizes for the Palestinian people in general and for the Palestinian refugees in particular.
On Thursday in New York, Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf participated in a session titled Wars Have Limits, organized by Algeria, Norway, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and the International Peace Institute. The discussion focused on ensuring greater respect for the Geneva Conventions, which have been in place for 75 years amid ongoing violations in various conflicts. Attaf reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to international humanitarian law and highlighted challenges in implementing the Geneva Conventions, particularly regarding the genocide against the Palestinian people, growing tensions in Lebanon, and ongoing crises in Africa affecting civilians. During the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, speeches by world leaders emphasized the urgent need for reforming the international system. They highlighted the failure and inability of the UN institutions, mainly the Security Council, to resolve crises and conflicts or even alleviate their severity. Here is Miriam Zian with the full story.
Ensuring peace, security, and the protection of basic human rights remains elusive for the international community. World leaders present at the UN General Assembly have called for reform of the Security Council, acknowledging its inability to address global crises and conflicts throughout the world.
We are here to bring multilateralism back from the brink. I called for this summit to consider deep reforms to make global institutions more legitimate, fair and effective based on the values of the UN Charter. I called for this summit because 21st century challenges require 21st century solutions, frameworks that are networked and inclusive, and that draw on the expertise of all of humanity. I called for this summit because our world is heading off the rails, and we need tough decisions to get back on track.
Algeria called for urgent reforms to the UN Security Council, stressing that its failure to uphold international law has worsened global crises, and urged to expand the Council's membership to better represent the global community.
ملف إصلاح مجلس الأمن.
The Security Council reform file is achieved through democratizing its working methods and expanding its membership through a broader composition that is more representative of the international community at the current stage. The first and foremost priority for us in such endeavor is to correct the historical injustice imposed on our African continent, which remains the only absentee in permanent seats and the least represented in the category of non-permanent seats.
On that note, Africa's will to gain membership in the Security Council, representing 1.3 billion people, is rooted in the need for reform.
Placing the fate of the world's security in the hands of a select few when it is the vast majority of the peoples of the world who bear the brunt of the various threats is unjust, unfair and unsustainable.
Similarly, Brazilian president stated that the exclusion of Latin America and Africa from permanent seats on the Council is an unacceptable continuation of colonial-era domination practices.
The exclusion of Latin America and Africa from permanent seats on the UN Security Council is an unacceptable reflection of the colonial past. Let's promote this discussion in a transparent way.
People in Africa and the Middle East are bearing the brunt of conflicts and instability due to international failures, with the Security Council stalling meaningful change. So the upcoming negotiations will be crucial in determining whether reform leads to real equality or remains an unfinished effort.
The president of Guinea, Mamadi Doumbouya, congratulated Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune on his re-election for a new term. He expressed warm congratulations on behalf of the Guinean people and government, expressing hope for collaborative efforts to strengthen bilateral relations and expand cooperation in various fields for the benefit of both the Algerian and Guinean peoples. Polish President Andrzej Duda congratulated Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune on his re-election, wishing him success in his leadership. Duda expressed his readiness to enhance cooperation between the two countries, emphasizing mutual respect and Algeria's vital role in regional security and stability. Indonesian President Joko Widodo congratulated Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune on his re-election, praising his leadership as a testament to the Algerian people's trust in him. He highlighted Algeria as an important partner for Indonesia and Africa, with relations grounded in mutual respect and cooperation to enhance welfare and contribute to regional peace and stability. The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, chaired a small-scale meeting of the Supreme Security Council on Thursday, according to a statement from the presidency. The Algerian government has decided to reinstate the visa requirement for all foreign nationals holding Moroccan passports. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs clarified that Algeria, which adheres to values of solidarity, has not restricted the freedom of movement since cutting diplomatic ties with Morocco in August 2021. The statement also emphasized that the Moroccan regime exploited the absence of the visa to interfere in Algeria's affairs.
The Moroccan regime, which has exploited the absence of a visa requirement between the two countries, has engaged in various actions that threaten Algeria's stability and national security. These include the widespread organization of multiple networks for organized crime, drug and human trafficking, as well as smuggling, illegal immigration, and acts of espionage. Moreover, it has allowed Israeli intelligence agents holding Moroccan passports to freely enter Algerian territory.
The Algerian Foreign Ministry statement held the Moroccan regime solely responsible for the deterioration of bilateral relations between the two countries.
These actions pose a direct threat to the country's security and necessitate strict monitoring of entry and residence on Algerian soil at all border points. The Moroccan regime alone bears responsibility for the current deterioration of bilateral relations due to its hostile and aggressive actions against Algeria.
On Thursday, the Sudanese army launched a large-scale operation against the Rapid Support Forces in Khartoum, Omdurman, and Khartoum North, involving ground, air, and naval forces. The army advanced via 3 bridges, targeting the RSF positions, regaining control of several sites amid intense clashes. Local sources indicated that operations began at 2 a.m., marking a significant shift in the battlefield dynamics. Sudan's Transitional Sovereignty Council head Abdel Fattah al-Burhan expressed readiness to engage in any serious initiative to end the war in Sudan. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, he insisted that the initiative must resolve the rebellion of the Rapid Support Forces, ensuring Sudanese dignity and state sovereignty as essential for restoring democracy. Sheikh Mohammed Ghafour, the renowned figure in the Andalusian music, received special recognition organized by the Millennium Association and overseen by the Ministry of Culture and Arts. He is regarded as one of Algeria's prominent artists, contributing significantly to authentic music for decades. More details with Salman Asib.
50 years of art, beautiful performances, and exquisite Andalusian music are the legacy of the unique artist Al-Hajj Mohammed Al-Ghafour, a native of the city of Nadroma. Today, Mohammed Al-Ghafour is being honored in a special ceremony overseen by the Minister of Culture and Arts.
I thank them because they remembered me and honored me. I'm grateful to them. I came here with all my heart. Even if I don't go out, I'm staying only at my house. I pray Allah to pay them back. I plunged in the artistic world in 1948.
Maryam, a purely Algerian poem, is the most beautiful art piece that the famous singer imbued with all his emotions and which was composed by Qadir al-Ashir. The journey has been long and filled with creativity, carried by Hajj Mohammed Al-Ghafour, who performed the masterpieces of authentic Andalusian art with great passion.
That's the end of our news program for tonight, dear viewers. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.